Hello everybody, welcome back to Peachy Disc Golf, to our second round of the Flicker Treat
What's up?
doubles tournament here at Parker's Pasture. We're a little late.
Not late.
We're running to our tee, trying to get there as quick as possible.
There's no violation.
Right. Where are we standing so far, Sandra?
Where are we standing?
Yeah, like in our...
Oh, we are 27th.
Right? All right, yep, 27th place, 4 under.
So it's not bad.
Yeah, not last.
Not last.
That's the secret.
4 under.
Yeah, we're 4 under right now, heading over to hole 14, where we're gonna kick things off, so we'll see you guys there. All right, well, welcome back to round 2. This time we're starting off on hole 14, a par 4, 436 feet. I'm going with my Virus here. I'm not really sure why. It's a little too understable, as you can see here. I hit the tree. First available, really. I wanted to get more in that right gap and let it fade back. Sandra is going with her Heat. She said her Saint Pro is a little too overstable in round 1, so made it through the left gap. Going from Sandra's shot here. She's gonna start off her second throw with the relay. Pretty good throw, a little bit too far to the left with some strong fade into the trees on that left side. I'm going with a Stag, something more understable, a little Anheuser as well, and just managed to get a sneaky root through those trees on the right and got a pretty good shot up to the basket. Completely whiffed my putt though, so not great. Hopefully Sandra can help clean it up for the birdie. Oh, she's off a little bit. So far for our total for the 2 rounds, we are 4 under right now. So hole 15, 699 feet, par 5. Just trying to go into that big grassy field in front. I'm going with my Wave, and I turn it way over. Overcorrection from round 1 where we ended up on the left. Sandra is going with something more understable this round. She's going with her Heat again. Sort of same thing, trying to correct what we did from last round. And Sandra throws a beautiful shot. And it does fade a bit to the left, but it looks like she avoided the trees. Yep, she sure did. We have a nice opening this time to actually make some forward progress on our second throw. But I don't make any use of it. It throws straight into the trees. Sandra's approach, her second shot was sick. Yeah, so we didn't record Sandra's second shot, but it got up to that grove of trees that we tried to get around in the third shot from round 1. She goes for the left gap. I'm going for the more right gap with the overstable throw here.
Tight right gap.
Yeah, Sandra said it right there. My accuracy is a bit off right now. Sandra with a great approach with her putter there, it looks like. I'm throwing probably the Envy. Yep. And also pretty solid. Should be able to get pars from there. And we sure do. So hole 16 is a par 4, 396 feet. We just want to make it through this initial gap and let it fade hard to the left. I'm going with my Distortion, straight down the middle, good fade.
Perfect.
So pretty good throw. I wish it was a little more left, but Sandra, I don't know what this is, but that looks pretty solid. That's about how left you want to go. But unfortunately hers did get tangled up in some of those trees. Just trying to get up to the basket. It's tucked off to the right past that grove of trees here. Sandra went a little too straight and a little too fade. I'm going understable, but I hit a tree pretty hard and it just kicks off to the left. So we're left with a long uphill putt for birdie. Sandra gets it up the hill at least. And I have a decent run, but I left it a little low, unfortunately. So we got a par. Hole 17 is 147 feet, par 3, straight uphill. Just need to get something up there. I'm going with my Meteor, I believe, here, and left it a bit short. Didn't record Sandra's drive, unfortunately. We are struggling in this second round. A little short, but good. Yeah, so we're going from Sandra's drive. It was a little short, but it was there weren't any trees obstructing like from mine, so Sandra's going for a long uphill putt here. Pretty good approach. Easy par from there. Let's see if I can get a long putt. I cannot. I hit the pole. So good accuracy, just not enough height. Hole 18 is 315 feet, par 3. Just like last time in round 1, I'm going for this wide right gap with my felon, but unfortunately I sort of throw it too wide and I hit a tree. So I'm sort of still in the fairway, not terrible, but not as good as the first time. Sandra's going understable with her diamond here. Managed to get a good turn and some pretty solid distance out of it. So we're throwing from Sandra's drive here. She definitely got a good bit more distance. Just going with something pretty straight towards the basket. I think she's throwing her rat here. I'm not sure. I'm going with the glitch. Get a good turn out of it, but I just throw the glitch so soft sometimes that I just didn't get enough distance. Once again, there's still some wind here on this putt for 18. It's really odd. I think it's just because this is sort of the biggest opening in the course away from the trees. So it got in both of our heads. So we both missed our putts, getting a bogey on that hole again. Hole 1 is 222 feet, par 3. I'm throwing my volt again. Nearly similar line, but not as far right as the first time. But it's still a pretty solid drive, I think. Sandra's going with her Saint Pro, and that looks like a solid line as well.
Sandra, that's what I did. That's what my line was.
That looked pretty solid. If that has the distance, then it'll be great. But I think mine was a little bit closer. So here we are, a little straddle putt for the birdie. Not quite as parked as round 1. But we still cash it, finally getting a birdie, even for the round. Hole 2 is 199 feet, par 3, turnover shot. I'm going with the uplink this time, and I just do not put enough on it, so it doesn't really turn enough, and I just end up in the brush on the left. Sandra's going with her diamond, and she overturns hers, and you can see hers goes to that lower shelf even, so we're going to be stuck with a long putt here to save birdie. Sandra with a good approach, and then I also leave it short as well, so getting a par. Hole 3, par 3, 321 feet, tunnel shot. I'm throwing my virus again, but this time I overturn it a little bit, so I don't get the full flight out of it, and it doesn't go back to the basket. Sandra going with the heat, also overturns it a bit, and gets tangled up with a tree on the right side. So got a bit of an approach here, throwing the Neutron Soft Envy, trying to get it close to the basket. And out of my hand, I thought this was pretty good, but I left it well short of the basket. That's going to be a tricky putt if we have to go with that throw. Sandra is going with her rat, I believe that is. And she goes with a similar result, but a little bit closer to the pin, so obviously we're putting from hers. And we're able to sink it for the par. Hole 4, 241 feet. This is a par 3. It's slightly uphill. You really just want to make it through those 2 trees in the middle. I'm going with my Virus hyzer flip. I didn't really put enough hyzer on it to get just a pure hyzer flip, but I managed to make it through the gap and a skip up. Sandra going with her heat again, trying to do the same thing, and a little bit too inside towards the right, so unfortunately she hit a tree on the right side and didn't make it through. Here we are with a long uphill putt, and I get it right up next to the basket. Sandra going for a long putt for herself, and she's a little bit short, but easy par from there. Hole 5 is 465 feet, par 4. We're just sort of trying to throw it down the fairway to the end of that hill there, and then you'll see the basket from there, going with the wave. Didn't really put enough on it, so I didn't get any flip or turn out of it like I usually do. So unfortunately, it ends off a bit to the left. Sandra is going to go with her diamond here, try to hyzer flip it as well. And she ends up really turning hers over. It starts fading back a little bit at the end there, but it's pretty heavy on that right side. So we end up going with my throw here for our approaches. And Sandra hits the trees right in the middle, unfortunately. So I'll try to do a little better, going with the distortion. And we get a little bit of progress there. Unfortunately, not going to really have much of a putt look, but at least we made some good progress. Just go with a putt approach here and get
That was it?
pretty close. And let's see if Sandra can get it in. That's all right, Sandra. We'll just try to clean up for par here. So a lot of pars in this round. Hole 6 is 277 feet, par 3. Sandra's going with the heat, trying to flip it over, and she makes it through the gap, but you can see it just really keeps fading to the left, and there's a big drop off past that hill. I'm trying a forehand with the bear again for some reason. I do the exact same thing where I throw it straight into the ground. Don't know why I still tried that, honestly. But we're going for mine once again, going with the glitch to try to get it up close to the basket. And this actually ends up pretty good. We got maybe a 15-footer from there if we end up going with mine. Sandra going with the rat, I believe, again. And that was a pretty good line. But just like last time, she ends up skipping off of the hill and falls down the hill, so we're going to be closing off with mine, and I managed to sink the putt for another par. Hole 7, 174 feet, par 3. Short hole here, just want to throw straight at the basket. I'm throwing my distortion nice and wide, trying to make the correction from the last round, and that looks pretty good. It's still pretty short. I think it's like 25 feet away, and there are some trees over there that I might be tangled up in. Sandra is going to try to improve on that. I don't know what driver she's using here, but that is a great result. That should be 5 feet from the pin, and sure is. Sandra gonna cap it out, solo birdie. Perfect. Hole 8 is 655 feet, par 5. This is a pretty long wooded shot, just trying to make it down the fairway in as few throws as possible. I think I went with my insanity here with a decent throw. It ended off a bit too far to the right than I wanted. Sandra going with the heat, and that would have been a really good throw if it had just a little more turn on it, but goes a little too far to the left. Luckily, it does kick some trees to get back into the fairway. But we're going for mine here. Sandra going with the heat once again. This time, I think the turn is perfect. Oh, no, it's a little too much. That was pretty close, though. Pretty good result. Ended in the center of the fairway here. Now we're going with my throw here. I'm going with the Tesla. And that looked great out of my hand, but I hit this dangly little branch that just knocks it straight down. So now for a third shot, I'm throwing the bear, wanting it to fade pretty hard to the left, which it does. And I thought this was really good, but you actually want to hug that left corner even tighter because the basket's closer to those woods. Sandra going with the T-bird here. And that's actually more of what you want to do because it's, again, the basket's not quite as wide. So we do end up going with Sandra's throw here. So Sandra coming in for the approach for our fourth shot. And that was a pretty solid approach. Should be able to par from there. Let's see if I can do any better or maybe sink it in. Decent distance, but easy par. Hole 9 is 206 feet, par 3, just a sort of right to left bend. I'm going with my distortion, and I shank it way off to the right, overcorrection from round 1, where I threw 2 inside. Sandra is going with her trusty T-bird here. And that's a pretty good line, just a little bit inside, but obviously we're going to be going from hers. Could have used a little more distance to try to get the birdie, but Sandra going with a long putt attempt, but we'll be able to par from there for sure. And I missed my putt as well, so easy par once again. Hole 10, 212 feet, par 3. This is where we started round 1. Just want to make it through that gap on the right and then start fading back, and I hit the first tree available, unfortunately. Accuracy was off for me this round for sure. Let's see, Sandra going with the heat, and she makes it right through the gap, gets a little bit of a skip up to the basket. That is perfect. Could have used a little more distance. This is a little bit longer than our round 1 putt that Sandra made. I come pretty close, but left it short. So let's see if Sandra can remake the magic. Oh, going with the stagger stance this time. Last time she straddled, I think. And oh, very close, but doesn't make it this time. Hole 11 is 346 feet, par 3. Sort of a flex shot here. I'm going with my Insanity. You can see I get a little turn out of it to get around the trees, and it starts going left. That's pretty good. That's exactly where I wanted to go, and definitely better than my round 1 where I hit that second tree on the right. Sandra going with the heat. Similar line, great throw, and honestly I think they're pretty close to each other. I don't even know whose disc we're going to here. I think mine was just a hair closer, and we're able to cap off a birdie. Hole 12, 259 feet, par 3. This is a beautiful hole, downhill, lots of luscious trees. You just want to throw something overstable as the basket is pretty tucked off to the left here. I went with my Glory, overstable 7-speed. Sandra's going with her T-Bird. Similar discs. I think the Glory might have one more fade. And Sandra's throw is alright, but ooh, it just hits that skinny tree there. Going from mine, left with a makeable putt, but unfortunately I miss mine. Sandra, can you save us, please? Oh, nice try. So unfortunately, we're getting a par on this hole. Hole 13, 281 feet, par 3, last hole of the day. I'm going with the left gap with my Virus, and unfortunately I throw it too high and not hard enough so it doesn't stay turned over. It starts fading to the left. Sandra is going with her Diamond here, and she has a pretty good turn on it, but hits that center tree and kicks it out left as well. So Sandra goes with a nice overstable approach, settles right by the basket. I'm going with the Glitch to try to sink it in. Little Anheuser. Decent line, but well short of the basket. So here's Sandra capping out our par. Finish. All right, Sandra, we're all finished up with our 2-round tournament. Man,
It was tiring.
yeah, playing 2 rounds in one day is pretty tough. My ankle is not happy with me, that's for sure. It is a little
hiking.
Right. Right. Yeah, so how did we do, Sandra, this round?
We got 2 under.
Yeah, not as good, not as
great.
good, but we didn't make fools of ourselves, you know?
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't make my epic putts this time.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem, is we didn't get our sick putts in. But still a good round, Sandra. We did pretty well. Got under par both times, so 6 under for the 2 rounds here. What do you think of the course again? Still pretty awesome, right?
It's fun. Yeah, second time playing through. A lot of fun lines. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was a little closer, I'd be here all the time, I think. It's just so far away from us. It's like an hour away, but totally worth it if you're in the area.
It's pretty
Check
long.
it out.
I'll say that. It's a long course. It took us about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give this one a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. And also don't forget to ring that notification bell so you can be notified when our next episode comes out. And until next time, guys, cheers.